Oh, we are recording. Yeah. No, go for it. No, he expects it. No, come on, Johnny. Go on. It's a RUNcensored podcast.
They always put at the start of the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, are we recording yet?
Go on. You know, if he was here, he'd be giving you some shit. Yeah.
There's only been...
Yeah, very hard at home.
There's been one occasion we've had to scrub it from the start, haven't we?
I think so, yeah, we did, didn't we?
No, two, I think. There's been two where we've had to...
What was going on there?
There was one with a guest that was going to reveal something that we couldn't reveal.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't that bad what we were talking about.
No, it was just, we couldn't reveal it. And then, what was the other one?
Probably slagging somebody, weren't we?
Holly Stables one when we were I think she was slagging people off.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, she was. Yeah. So we took that.
Yeah.
The last words of my wife were, "Don't slag anybody off."
It's going to be a short interview then.
When I told Kirsty I was doing the podcast, she was like, "Don't be yourself." She said, "Like your humour is so shit." Like she don't laugh at any of my jokes, so that's what she said to me. That was her advice as I walked out the door. I was like, "Well, I don't really know where to start, to be honest." On the first one, yeah. But she does listen now. Yeah, she likes Gary. So she likes Gary's humour.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's you get that was the same advice I got basically.
Yeah.
Don't get cancelled before you start.
Yeah.
It was,
my humour's
I think
acquired a
you've
taste.
only said one thing. I couldn't remember for life was what it was. Where I went, "Can you say that?"
Yeah, it's not. We don't. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm pretty safe because I'm well below that bar.
Chris messaged me last week and he said, "Can you just check this first bit of this one and let me know what you think?" And I did listen to it. I was like, and I thought, what would Gary do? And I know he'd just say, put it out. So I just said, yeah, put it out.
Yeah, because the one time I said, should we pull that little section? There was one section, and it wasn't us, it was Nigel. He's just
it was, yeah.
Like the big mad Irish guy I know, and he's basically from a different time. Let's put it that way.
A different era.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't think that sounds that bad. So we left that bit in, and it was fine, wasn't it? But
nobody said anything, did they?
Yeah, I'm just used to him offending people by mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all have a Nigel.
Yeah.
And a Gary and a Ben.
You can say all that, and then it's like, I'm sure if we went in anyone's WhatsApp groups, then it'd be like a different story, wouldn't it? So
Yeah.
someone should make a podcast out of them, just going around people's WhatsApp groups.
Right, I think I can see the timer, so we can start recording. Johnny, you're in charge, mate. So if any other guests come, keep them in the loading bay until we're ready.
Send them to Montaigne.
Yeah. Or send them to more bakery. Tell them to get some coffees in. I put these coffees on Adrian's tab. He'll find out tomorrow when he gets a big bill. I think he's banned anyway. His name was, and his photograph was behind the bar.
I still feel low. I'm looking at Andy. He looks tall over there. I feel like I'm too low down.
I didn't think you're not normally that short.
No. That's better.
I'm going to introduce the podcast, then we can do a bit of chit chat because we normally do, don't we?
Yeah.
And
Could
then we'll
involve
introduce
Andy in it this time.
guest as well. Yeah, special guest. So, welcome to the RUNcensored podcast with me, Ben Mounsey, Gary House, and our special guest today, Andy Berry. Andy, thanks for joining us, mate. Appreciate it.
No, it's good to be here. I was I've been looking to try and boost my Instagram followers so I can try and get a free treadmill, so I thought I'd better come and knock around with some Instagram royalty to try and boost the numbers, you know.
Come to the right place, mate.
Yeah.
Gary will share that. You'll probably have one by the end of the day, I reckon.
Yeah, we can
hopefully.
sort you out a treadmill.
It needs to go up to at least 15% and, you know, at
That's
least
the
20k.
problem, isn't it? That's
like
the problem. So. Yeah, what about a rowing machine? I can do a rowing machine. People keep offering me them these days. Yeah.
Rowing machine?
Yeah. It shows how
They're
much
trying to
money
get
I'm
you
doing. They're like, will you show
Gary
us?
does
Show
get some
off.
random offers, don't you, as well?
I bet you do.
I do, mate. I do. Yeah. No, it's good. I heard this is the one. This is the one podcast.
Yeah.
Since your last run.
Yeah, well, I've been, as I say, been doing anything to get on here and try to boost my numbers. So.
Well, I think it's a good.
That's why Ben joined.
There's nobody before Gary met me. Nobody.
Do you find that you get more friends like who just like, so can you just share on Instagram for us?
Nah, no. You get more people wanting, you're going for a run, and you kind of know if it's for that reason or not. So that's why me and Ben are quite good.
I'm disappointed they're on ice pops as well.
Yeah. Well, it's coffees today, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think before we properly start, Andy, I think you need to introduce yourself so the guests that don't know you do know you now. So I'm going to let you do that because I normally do it and do a bad job and get told off. But if it's a shit version of yourself, I'll boost
You'll jump in.
I'll jump
okay.
in. Yeah. Go on off.
So yeah, I'm Andy Fearberry now. So I've run in the mountains for a long way. That's what I love doing. Especially, I guess, the fell-based side, fell-based challenges. I currently hold the Lake District 24-hour fell record, which for me is probably the biggest record in the Lake District, but I'm sure we'll get onto that. Steve Paw round, I hold that record currently. I've done all the major 3 rounds, so I've done the Ramsey round and the Paddy Buckley round as well. Plenty of failures on those rounds as well to bounce off, but that's what I love doing.
And more recently, you did another Bob Graham. I say another because you've done it a few times now, haven't you? And you went for quite a big time there. We'll come on to that. I mean, I don't want to just spoil it first of all, but I will say also that you're an Innovate athlete, and we are here in the Innovate office in Staveley, new venue for both me and Gary.
Leave the links to Bernie's better at it.
Yeah. Get that in there. Thank our generous host for
Johnny
for
can relax
being
now.
here.
You've
Yeah,
been-
that's
Yeah,
it.
no, look,
Johnny can go home now.
I suggested it because it's kind of in the middle of us all, but
Yeah.
also Innovate, they look after me well, and I love their kit. Been using it. I was using it. I've got pictures from my first Bob Graham in 2016, way before I was privileged enough to get.
How long you been with
provided the
Innovate
kit.
now?
Well, so I it's like goes in different phases. So you go through the phase where they kind of like
Just give you a bit of kit.
just give you a buff out the back when you do something all right.
Hope his cast off. Yeah.
Yeah, to like the kind of the part where you're how did they term it? You're not an influencer, but you're like
In the family.
in the group,
The
and then
circle of
eventually.
trust.
So I've been, I think, an athlete for. I think they've called me an athlete for the last year. I've
Yeah.
called myself an athlete for the last 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I
As soon
do.
as you get that free pair of socks, it's like Innovate Athlete on your Instagram.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But
Good chance to swipe some more samples while we're here, though.
yeah, I mean, I'm super lucky that like I get to test the gear, and I think that for me is one of the best parts about it is that I don't want people who, because I used to have to go out and pay however much for a pair of shoes, and it drives me mad if they aren't up to scratch. And now I'm fortunate enough that shoes I run in now will be what people get next year, and I can help try and put them through their paces, especially when living up in Scotland. like I abuse shoes up there, and so hopefully by the time they reach people's feet, then
When's
good.
the Fearberry shoe coming out? You can have your own range.
Well, probably if UTMB went to plan, I'm sure they'll milk that for absolutely all it's worth. There'll be a picture of Mont Blanc and my face on the front of your
Fast,
shoe.
like, natural on your arse cheeks,
Yeah. If it goes to shit, never.
Watch his space, Watch his space.
Yeah,
You doing it this year?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Big one. Oh, we'll talk about that near the end then.
Yeah.
I mean, again, before we jump into the recent Bob Graham, did it start off for you with ultra running, or did you kind of dip your toe into shorter distance first of all?
So I was like a proper fat kid. Like I loved football. I played football like morning, noon, night, but I was never brilliant. So like school team, Sunday league team, that level. I've told the story before about school cross country. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh yeah, I ran for county, and then like I just fell into an England vest, and then then I decided I wasn't good enough to do anything else, so I decided to do ultra running. I was so far last at my school cross country, I got a special mention at the awards due. They might as well give me a fucking wooden spoon and said, there you go, like, fat kid did all right. So like for me it was only ever about, I called it my Ricky Hatton phase, like after I had a
Yeah.
like
used to balloon up, didn't you, after
I'd
fights?
blow up to like 16, 17 stone, and then go, shit, I better do something, like sign up for a half marathon, lose it all, drop back to like 14 stone, and be I'm all right again now.
Is that still the case then as well now?
No, so I'm a lot more level now. I did one road marathon in 2015 and swore I'd never put on a pair of running shoes ever again. Edinburgh Road Marathon nearly killed me. Didn't know anything about fueling. didn't eat a thing,
Oh,
and about like 20 mile in, I just wanted to go to sleep on the side of the curb. And then found ultra running through a friend when we were running for charity. Moved on to fell running from there because my sister introduced us to Durham Fell Runners running club. She said, "Oh, it'd be a fun way to put some training in." Literally went for a run in the hills, and that was it. Like
Hooked.
absolute hooked. It is like my crack. I was just like, my mum used to take us hiking when we were kids, and I think it must have just tapped back into that.
Yeah.
And I was
those memories come flooding
off and
back.
away. Like I got home that night, and I was like, I'm doing a Bob Graham next year.
I was going to say, because you mentioned you did Edinburgh Marathon in 2015, but you'd also said you'd done Bob Graham 2016.
Yeah,
Is that right?
so it was my first ever time on the route was the October 2015. And then so we did like maybe 5k of like 3 or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, how do people do this? But I'm going to find out. And then from there to, June.
How do you
June
find
comes.
enough mates in a year?
So as I say, I was like part of Durham Fell Runners, and they had quite a few people
yeah.
who'd been over and done it. And then if they didn't, they knew somebody. And you know what the community's like. If you know somebody who knows somebody,
Everybody pulls
and I'm
together,
sure
don't
we'll
they?
get through onto support for this latest round. 'cause,
Yeah.
you know, without them, it doesn't happen. You both know that these things are absolutely vital. And
Did you jump on a few legs beforehand and stuff?
I never I never supported on anybody else's round
No.
until my own round.
Worse than Killian then.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I'm not that bad.
You probably have you helped since though as well.
I've now got 23 where they finished, plus God knows, like
Oh, there you go.
another
Yeah.
10 when they didn't, plus record rounds, Paddy Buckley rounds. I love support, and it's
You're
one of
backing
the
credit then, mate, aren't you?
Oh,
Backing credit.
Yeah, like I absolutely love it.
It is a grand day out, isn't it? I must
Like
have
you
been out
learn
for
so
quite a
much.
few.
I think one of the best things is even 2 years ago now, random Friday, 1:00, pick up a message on the Facebook group. I need a support runner for leg one. So I turn up. Never met this guy before in my life. Shake hands at Mood Hall. Off with set up skidder, and he's like, "Oh, I'm probably not going to do this, but thanks for turning up." And I was just like, "No, that shit stops right now." I was like, "You've set off.
Slap him.
You've set off from Moot Hall, so your aim is to get back there, and you've got 24 hours to do it." So we just started talking, and I swear to God, it's like 4 hours later, I thought I knew this guy my whole life.
Yeah.
After that, like we just kept in touch on WhatsApp. I presented a certificate at the Bob Graham dinner, like because 24-hour record holder does the certificates. So me and Fee Pascal did it, and then I was like, "Oh, I knew he lived roughly close to the lakes." To North Wales, sorry, and I needed some support for UTS. So he came and did my road support, stayed up all night, missed his race at UTS because I was slower than I thought.
So you just
binned it
wanted
all.
something off him then.
Like, and then we just kept in touch since, and just I get him do what I can to help
How
him.
did he get on then? Like I know he's obviously he finished it, but after doubting himself in the first 4 hours.
Yeah, so he listened to what I said, and I was like, "Look, whatever happens, there's time built in the back end. So if you're down at Wasdale,
Yeah.
do not stop. If you feel good in Wasdale and you can still run, forget about your schedule. Just start running." And so he was like half an hour down on a 24 in Wasdale, and then he finished in like 23:30 fairly
Yeah,
comfortably.
happy days.
He was just like, "Oh yeah, that's all I thought is I think I can still run these bits." So
That's impressive. Yeah.
yeah,
I've
so
changed
big
his
shout out to
mentality and
Chris.
his way of thinking.
Big
Yeah.
shout out to Chris. He's a legend.
That's great that you've kept
I bet he
in
was
touch as well.
gutted when he thought, I'm just going to bin this off at halfway. And Andy Berry turns up on leg one.
No choice, was it?
The funniest one with that was Jeff Pelletier when he came and did it.
yeah.
So I had no idea who he was. Like I'm not a big I don't watch like a lot of YouTube and things.
He's massive on YouTube. Isn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah. So I didn't know who he was.
Jeff Pelletier.
Yeah, he does like a load of like videos of races and things like that.
Yeah, no, I don't.
He's like one of those people on Instagram who puts loads of videos on. I'm surprised you don't know
I'm
him.
surprised you've not heard of him actually. Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah.
So I turned up at Threlkeld at like 2:00 in the morning or whatever, and his wife's there, and she's like, "Oh, are you going to be all right to get him down leg two?" I'm like, "Pretty sure I'll be fine." And she's like, "Oh, have you done this before?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, a couple of times." Gets talking. I was like, "Oh yeah, I've just done the 24-hour fell record," and her face is just like, didn't really know what that was. So I described it to her and she's like, "Oh, you're probably going to be all right then." I was like, "Yeah, we'll be fine." So yeah,
Brilliant.
absolutely mint.
I mean, since you did that first Bob Graham, like obviously you've improved a lot since then. Like, was that like a trigger then to just go hard at the sport and think, right, this is for me, I'm just going to throw myself in it? Because your rise to the top has been pretty quick, hasn't it? You know, since then, like you've had some big results, as we've mentioned a few of them already.
Yeah, so like as I say, like for me, I'd never won any races as a kid or anything like that. So I went in heavy. 2017, I won the 10 Peaks race in the Lakes, first race I ever won. And then I kind of got lost up my own arse a bit and just started like, I think looking for races where I thought I could win or things I thought I could do. And it just like drove the love of why I started out of myself. So then I kind of got lost for a bit. Went through like divorce and things like that. So like that was like almost like a great reset. And then when I came back to it, it was only about the feeling of being in the mountains. That's what I chase. That's what I love. So for me, the races or the challenges, the things like that, they're just the signposts of how well what I actually love is going. And that is still true today. Like we joked when I first came in that I actually had to sit in the car and think about my Bob Graham a bit just to get the memories back in the fresh, because I'm back in training. So it's like, you know, I'm chasing the next thing.
And it's been what, like a month and a half now, I think, since, hasn't it? I know we've tried to get the time locked in, and you've been batting off other requests for podcasts, Oprah Winfrey and other talk shows as well. I know that
I was hoping for David Roach, but you know, he never came close. So, and he's so hot right now.
He's so hot. As are you, mate.
He's like Zoolander. You know?
And we appreciate you holding out for our podcast, because you know, watching you do that challenge and basically putting it out there, putting your balls on the table, because like it's a big record, that, isn't it? And I'll be honest, I didn't realise that until the night before you were actually going for the record. I thought you were just going to go for a good time, and it wasn't until like I went running with Harry Holmes the night before, and he was supporting you, wasn't it? And he said no, he's going to go for Jack's record. So yeah, it's a big aim, that, wasn't it? And I mean, the record 12:25,
12:23.
12:23. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal. I mean, Killian's also half an hour behind that, 12:52 or something like that.
And then Finley in 12:55, something like that.
So you'd given yourself like a big aim there, hadn't you?
So for me, like after the Lake District 24-hour fell record, like that was like a life goal type effort. And I didn't know whether I'd get it first time. I kind of felt that it might take a few goes. So when I got it, I was like, oh shit, now what do I do? So I wrote a list of, okay, well, I didn't think I was capable of that. What else might I not be capable of? And we'll chase them. So, you know, Bob Graham record, and then that race in France that we all know about. And like just a list of things that I was like, well, that's going to lift me. Even if I don't hit it, it'll lift me to another level. And I think that if you don't start out with the goal of Jack's record, I was never going to get it. You know, if I set off on a 13.5-hour schedule, then sure, like it would look like, well, I'd hit his goal, so that's all right. But that wasn't my goal. And if I didn't say it, then it wasn't real. If it isn't real, I would never attain it. I still don't know if I could do the record. I know that I could go faster than what I did, but isn't that the fun of it? Like,
yeah, mate, honestly, and I'm giving you loads of respect here, because I love the fact that you said this is what I want to try and beat, and this is what I want to try and achieve, and you put like such a big target up there. It was like, wow, that is amazing. I mean, honestly,
so many people could have beaten Billy Bland's record. Like it was like his record is incredible, especially for the time. Like you've got to look at like the trods that are there now were not there for Billy Bland. Like the nutrition, the shoes, like everything. The poles, like, hey, we can talk about poles.
We will talk about poles. We'll to all that,
But yeah, like all of that wasn't there. To be fair, poles are probably the one thing he did have. He could have had. Because, you know, he could have used walking sticks.
Yeah,
but anyway, like all those things. So his time was incredible, but it got left alone for far too long. Like when you look at the caliber of runners that were in fell running for so long, it should have gone.
Is that
years
like
ago.
Sorry, Ben. Is that like a British thing, do you think? Because sometimes you get an American or someone just thinking they'll come over and... Jack was obviously... He's a special talent, isn't he? But he was fully confident he'll come over and do a job. Whereas I think, like you said, we've had runners over the years that potentially could do it but won't put themselves out there, and that's the mental side of things more than the actual physical kind of side of it, I guess.
So for me, that's one of the things that I also wanted to do with this round, was to put it back on the table and say, it doesn't matter that you can put it on the table, not make it, and nobody's going to go, you fucking wanker, like, I can't believe that you said that and then didn't make it, oh, what a loser. Like, literally, if anybody said that to me, I'd be like, cool, man, like, crack on.
But it might inspire somebody else to think, well, actually, if he's giving it a go, and he's got really close,
and
like, I'm going to give it a go.
Just as a fan of the sport as well, you know, like our mate George Foster, when he ran that time, I thought, oh, it's going to kick on now, and more people are going to go and have a crack, kind of thing. But it just doesn't materialise. I don't know if it's the lure of big racing and stuff like this.
I think a lot of the like big fell runners just get like drawn into the British fell champs, and English fell champs, which is awesome.
And orienteering,
and things like that. And I think it just kind of gets lost in that, like, because obviously it takes up your May and then your June to recover or whatever, and I think it probably just gets a bit of that. But
do you think, like, I know I said there, I was really surprised when you said you were going to go for the record, because like when we look at that record, let's be honest, it is almost unattainable for almost everybody on the planet, isn't it? I mean, I'm not saying it will never be broken, because I'm sure it will be broken, but you look at it and it'll probably scare a lot of people off, won't it? And I think when people looked at that Billy Blank record, they thought, do you know what? That ain't going to get broken. And I think that's the fear factor. And I think you flipped that on its head when you said, I'm going to go for it now. And it's even, quicker now, isn't it? So I think that move and that play to break it, you didn't just say, I'm going to try and be the fastest Englishman or the fastest, British athlete. I'm just going to go for it. And I totally respect that. And I think more people need to probably think like that to take it even further, no?
I don't even think that it's about the record for that, though. Like, for me, like, as a, in terms of running coaching or whatever, like, I want people to come to me and go, I've got this dream, and you're going to think it's mental, but I think I could do the Bob Graham in 23:59:59. Like, for me, 23:59 is exactly the same as a 12:22. Like,
you've done the challenge, haven't you?
Like, well, yeah, but not only that, like, so 12:22, I might need the perfect day with everything going right. One of those days where you're just floating and it's effortless, and they might only happen one every 50 races.
Years.
Yeah, like, sometimes you might have one and you're chasing it forever like after that. But sometimes people might need that to do a 23:59. Like, who am I to say, or you to say, that like that isn't the same thing? It is the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. And so it's not just about inspiring the top runners to go for 12:22. It's about getting people into the hills to chase 23:59. If that's what you're capable of, if that's what your schedule or your body or everything can do, then chase it. Because what's the worst that happens? You end up with like a 24:34. Like, you still had an awesome day out with your mates.
Exactly. And it is an awesome day out. I mean, did you enjoy it, even though you were going for such a high profile record? Were there any parts of it where you could enjoy it, or was it just all about business, all about just pushing yourself as fast as you can? Yeah,
like, I always try and like draw something out of it. I always joke that these days they all hurt so much. Like, anything I do, I'm trying to squeeze everything out of my body that I possibly can, that a lot of the enjoyment side of it is in the build-up, because in the moment it is just, fuel, pain management, try and laugh through it, and just get the job done. But there are always moments, like coming down Blencathra chasing Ben Rothery was, that'll just stay with me. That like 16 minutes from top to bottom.
Who went down there with you?
Ben Rothery.
Was it just
and
you
Gavin
two?
Dale as well.
Gavin Dale as
Gavin
well.
as well. Yeah.
I heard you drop Gavin coming down. Is that right?
No, Gavin just wanted to make me feel good about how I was moving, so he held back. I saw him and Ben having a word at the top. He's like, I'm going to hold back and make him feel good.
I mean, I think it
16
shows
minutes down there is good,
how
isn't it?
fast you're coming down there, because Benny's probably the best descender at the moment in fell running, isn't he? And to be on the back of Ben and to, you know, leave Gavin almost behind, you know, like that shows how quick at that point you were going, because you've still got another, you know, 4 legs after that, haven't you? So amazing.
Gavin
pace.
was also carrying an injury, it turned out. So.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, we found that out, didn't we?
And how do you, like, I know, I just know people will be interested, because we hear a lot about people's Bob Grahams and stuff and how they get support and stuff like this. But how do you go about setting up support for a run like yours? Because the number one worry is, like, where do I get people that's going to keep up? Which is the first obstacle, I guess. Not everyone can just turn up to support you on your rounds. How do you go about setting that up in the first place?
So, well, I'm fortunate that I met quite a lot of people like around, and I guess the advantage of, in my opinion, not being a mega dickhead is that people tend to quite like running with us. So I put word out into each fell running group. So I used to be a member of Keswick, so I just reached out to Mark Lamb, and then he put it in their WhatsApp group. Get on well with Gavin Dale, so he put it in Amblesides. Get on well with Paul Teeney, so he asked around, and just kind of like
it snowballed
through
from
Kim and everybody else. It just kind of like,
because it's exciting for people, I guess, as well, isn't it? They, like, to have a fast day out. And
I was there for Quenzel's. I was supported on leg 2, and it was just absolutely amazing. Like, I was buzzing.
That is amazing, isn't it? To be part of history, essentially.
Yeah.
And the same for people involved with yours, because it is a historic run, you know? I mean, to see that and witness it is one thing, but to actually be a part of it and a challenge. I've been a part of Sub-14 ones before, but never a record. But yeah, that must have been amazing. I mean, did you learn quite a bit from Jax as well when you did it? The pace that he was going at, and what was he like to run with? And
he was awesome to run with. Like, I think it's interesting you said that he's a special athlete or whatever, but he would refute that and say that he's a normal guy who just trains his arse off, and for all intents and purposes he is. But his attitude on that day was refreshing. He was the right kind of American bravado. Like, you know, like too much, and they're a bit of an arsehole, aren't they? Like, but
we've said this before. I liked it when Jim Walmsley came onto the scene, and he was talking the talk to a certain degree, but he had an air of like, I still wanted him to win and go and do it, because he wasn't being an arsehole with it. He's just
the enthusiasm and positivity
and the energy and all that kind of stuff.
And how he viewed it, he's like, Killian's a great athlete, and he's a far better runner than I'll ever be. These are pretty much his words. But he had a bad day on this Bob Graham, and I'm going to prove that he had a bad day, because he left 15 minutes sitting on a hillside above Honister. There's 15 minutes. If I can just keep moving, I get 15 minutes on him just by running past him. And like, just the buzz. There was a moment where we were climbing Fairfield, and he hadn't wanted to know the splits, but I was looking at the splits, and I was like, we have just absolutely blitzed that leg. And I got this big grin, and I was like, you don't want to know the splits? And he's like, oh, go on then. I was like, you just took 6 minutes off him in a leg. And he was just like, wow. And Billy Cartwright was there, and I just got this memory of him going, Billy, fucking 6 minutes, Billy. It's just absolutely, he's just like raging, like with just like positivity and just absolute beast mode.
Yeah, did have his top off as well?
Yeah, of course. He didn't.
Did you have to run with your top off as well?
Yeah, it was mandatory, like we all did. Mandatory shirt off.
So you lot kicked off High Rocks then. Andy Berry and Jack's fault.
We weren't like carrying bricks or whatever they do. I don't even.
Hybrid rock stars on the fells.
But wow, yeah, I mean, so he took that positivity all the way through then, didn't he? Did he even have a bad patch on that, Bob Graham?
Yeah, so he would argue that he could go faster.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can always go faster, I guess, can't you? It's mad thinking about those times, like we talked about the relay and stuff like this, and that put it into perspective a little bit with like the team relay and stuff like this, and the best runners and the runners going for those records, like I'm sure you did as well, analyse, like you say, Jack went into it knowing there's 15 minutes there, even without changing anything, and the best runners and the ones going for records just need to have that little bit of analytical edge, I guess, to give them those.
So I knew that I was going to
bits.
be down at Dunmail.
Yeah.
That was in the plan. Like,
Yeah.
I knew that if I ran his splits on leg 2, it'd be game over.
Yeah.
So it was try and hold 1, which I did. 2:13. I was 2:13 exactly. Nailed it. 2, I was about 8 minutes down. Okay, that was within my scope. I wanted to be less than 10 minutes down. And then go into leg 3, try and hold him, get it back and attack in 4. That was the game plan. It just didn't work.
But almost though, almost. And let's just go back a little bit. Let's actually go through the whole of Bob Graham now, because I'm interested to know like how it started. Obviously, we know how it finished. But what time did you set off? Because you set off at a
7
in the morning, wasn't it? So it meant that you weren't like losing a night's sleep. Whereas a lot of people who do the 24-hour challenge are setting off sort of like sometimes before midnight, aren't they? And
So I normally set off
night.
at 10 when I'm doing it as a 24-hour.
I
I went at 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one advantage, the fact that you're fast enough to do it in daylight.
daylight, yeah.
Essentially. Had you slept well the night before? How were you feeling? I know you train obviously hard, but sometimes you can wake up and just feel like shit, can't you? But talk us through like the day before and then setting off. Like how were you?
I'll actually go 3 weeks before.
Yeah, go on, 3 weeks before.
Yeah,
That's
so
even
3
better.
weeks before I was meant to go for it.
Yeah.
And it just didn't feel right. Like, I used the weather as an excuse to can it, but it wasn't right in my head.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't going to be successful. I just knew it. I didn't know why. Like, everything was fine. I was physically fine. I just knew it in my gut.
Yeah.
And fortunately, with something like the Bob Graham, you're not tied to a start time like a race. So you just go, you know what, I'm not feeling this. So I left it and pushed it to my next date. Got lucky with the weather that had dried back up again. And so when I was in the week before this time, I was super relaxed. Like, it was just, this was my time. Everything was lining up.
You just
Support
felt like it was
was
right.
there.
Yeah.
I was like relaxed. I was a lot calmer. Everything was organised a lot more in advance. So when I stood at Moot Hall, it was just time to play. That's how it felt. So
Did you have the same team? Because I know you
slightly altered because the first round was a bit more rushed, so we had a bit more choice the second time, and yeah, but based really around the same people.
Yeah. So breakfast in Greg's, got to the start. Oh, was it Wetherspoons? Yeah. Got to the... What do you
I was told by my wife, whatever you do, don't get into the state of the world or politics. And I'm like, as soon as you say Wetherspoons, I'm like...
But what do you eat to fuel you for a challenge like that? Do you just treat it as a normal day out, or do you eat?
No,
like,
so I'm
carbo?
super lucky that I've got to work with Paul Booth and the team at Leeds. So as part of he's doing a study on ultra runners and nutrition to see how much of this get more carbs into you is bullshit and how much of it is actually useful.
Yeah.
And as part of that, he's really helped me dial in for my race day. So for me, it starts 2 or 3 days out. That's when we begin to look at what I actually eat. And then we cut down on the fiber, we cut down on saturated fats. I call it my super boring diet because it really is like 2 days before. It's basically white bread with honey, pasta, rice, just with some kind of light sauce, cut out the veg, make sure you got some protein in there. But it is quite simple. But I've never really suffered with stomach issues much. And the first time I tried it was Gran Canaria. And I was like, holy shit, my stomach feels bomb-proof.
So that's why you do it for the stomach.
Yeah, so the idea is that when you're fueling on gels, you don't really want your stomach and all your system to be clogged up because you want the gel to be going through you, basically, and be able to be soaked up. And so you want to try and get as cleared out as you can. And
Didn't go for a colonic.
yeah, that's the next step.
I've actually had 2 before, you know. First time I ran for...
By mistake.
No, by mistake.
No, you paid extra.
Didn't know about the first one.
I wonder why you keep racing in Thailand.
I was just trying to get
Where's
any
his physio? Went in with an Achilles nickel.
I tell you what, the feeling afterwards is immense. Like, it's cringe when you're doing it. I mean, well, that's another podcast. But yeah, we'll save that for another time then. But yeah, I'd recommend the colonic though, honestly. Really good. We won't do one today, but maybe food for thought.
Enough shit comes out of your mouth, mate. You don't need colonic.
I'm going to come back for that.
But then, like, the morning before, it's he said to us, like, go to the cereal aisle and choose the cereal that you weren't allowed as a kid.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, it was Frosties, and I was just like, so I went and he's like, have as big a bowl of Frosties as you want, with some toast and honey on the morning, like 2 hours before.
It's strange though, isn't it? Because to me, it's like old, simple, straightforward advice. Even when you started learning about marathon running and stuff like this, it kind of still rings true, doesn't it? And people push back on you a little bit based on other stuff. But like Andy's saying, it's really, he calls it the boring because it's simple, but it's not difficult either, is it?
No.
That's the best part. Like you say, a bit of white toast with honey, and the low fibre thing is because you don't want to be stressing all your guts out when you're trying to process stuff at the same time at intensity, adding heat and all that kind of stuff. And people put all that effort into training, and then they'll have a curry and a pint the night before a race.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's never going to end well, is it?
not really, no.
Yeah.
And it seems like something like what Andy's saying is quite simple, but I just think the amount of people that don't do that step 3, 2, 1 days before a race is quite high, isn't it? And then they complain that the gels aren't working, or I couldn't stomach anything after 2 hours and my stomach's gone.
Yeah.
I guess that's why you're looking at that to really nail that process down.
Yeah, exactly. And then I do take bicarb as well.
Yeah.
I'm part of that current fad. For me, I don't know. I'm a big fan of just trusting people who actually know.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan of like random people on Instagram going, you need to take this product. But if a scientist comes up to us and says, look, I think that if you do this and take it here, that it's going to do this.
But it's also not new either, is it?
No.
It's new in terms of people
How they
making it a
transport
trend
it.
and stuff like this, but like cyclists have been doing it and playing
Yeah,
around
and
with
in Law
it.
of Running, he talks about it,
Exactly,
and all of that. It's about the transport of it, isn't it? That's what
I think so,
they're nailing down.
Yeah.
And also because I knew the start was going to be so intense,
Yeah.
anything I can do to buffer that lactate.
And were you doing that in training much?
So at least my hard session, and then as we got closer, as I'm sure both you'll understand, like, you know, more those harder specific runs where you're trying to like imitate that leg one pace. How's it going to feel? Extend the durability, all that. So I'd take it there as well, as much just to practice it isn't going to ruin my stomach or anything like that in the day. So yeah, but only beforehand, because as the intensity drops, the requirement for it drops.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to take it mid-race or anything.
And then when you are racing, are you eating the same sort of food as well, or what you eating mid kind of bob?
So I'm all gel.
Really, pure gel.
Pure
full
gel.
race? Wow,
Yeah, like I
okay,
did the 20.
interesting.
Like I've tried to mix in real food and things
He's
like
only
that.
doing 12, 13 hours, I remember. It's not
Exactly. So I did the 24-hour on gels.
Without eating though.
Yeah, I did the 24-hour fell record on gels.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it's very different depending on what intensity you're running at and what do you want out of your running and what are you fortunate enough to be able to train your stomach to be able to do, because these things aren't cheap.
Yeah.
Now, I'm lucky that Precision sponsor me, so I don't pay full whack. So I can train with it a lot easier than a lot of people. So so my aim was to get in 100 and probably did that 110 grams of carb an hour, something like that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Interesting from my perspective, because I just always assumed you'd have to eat some real food for those kind of challenges. So that's like a learning.
He hasn't
curve.
got time, mate.
But why?
Actually, yeah.
Why as well would be
Yeah.
the question. That like it's always that. Is that actually proven, or is that
Yeah, it's
just
what
in
people
your
think.
head?
It's like, yeah, and it is obviously in my head, isn't it? I
Like
mean, I'm
for-
not an ultra runner, so it's like it is a real learning curve for me. Hearing that,
For me, it's not about enjoying my food.
Yeah.
Like, I don't go into a race to enjoy what I eat. Like, that's not a part of it
I
for
have
me.
this argument so much. People are saying they don't like the flavour and stuff like that. Now, that is not that's not a reason for me not to fuel yourself, because you'd got turned off by flavour or texture. It's like, what is best for me at this time? And I get it if someone is, you know, like not pushing to the limits of what Andy is, but you have to push back at those people as well, because they still want a good race and they could still do a lot better if they weren't having these gut issues. Sometimes it's just accepted. Oh, well, I'll just grab this, that and the other from a checkpoint.
So what you're saying
I even really enjoyed I saw Tom Evans did a post where he's like, oh, my bag didn't arrive or whatever. I think it was at the Arc. And but he trained with the NAC product just in case that scenario would come. So he already knew which ones he could stomach, which ones could go down. And that, like, I thought that was a really good idea.
Yeah.
So that you're not just practicing with the ones that you're used to or whatever, you're practicing with other people.
That's one of the benefits of the bigger races and stuff. And even at like Lakeland that you've done, they publish what's going to be at checkpoints. So again, there's no you should be researching that stuff. Not just the Andy at the top of his game that he's just going to focus on gels, but if you're someone that says, right, I do need a jam sandwich or something, then you need to check in that race, are you going to have a jam sandwich available?
And it's really easy to actually like check online how much of each thing is in a jam sandwich, roughly. You know, you can just Google 2 slices of white bread and a portion of jam and go, well, they normally serve them in half, so every half a sandwich is, I don't know, 20 grams of carb.
Yeah. And for the other side as well, I think people assume that they're fueling themselves quite well, but people underestimating a lot as well. Like there was a whole craze with the baby food and things like this. And I know we're going off on a tangent, but it's like, what are you actually getting from this stuff? Yeah, okay, it might be going down easier, and that's what Andy's saying. In training, he's obviously the bulk of that process is in training, isn't it? He's not just rocking up on the day and going, I'm going to do 13 hours of
researching
gels.
One of my things this year actually has been, I've always trained well for the last 2 years. Like, I prioritise that 2 hours or whatever.
Build your day around the training.
To train. But it's the time either side of it that maybe I wasn't perfect at, especially like when I was working on the building sites 5 days a week, which fortunately it's a bit less now as the coaching becomes a bit more. But I would just hit like a 6-hour day, 7-hour day, non-stop, you know, like quite a physical job, come in, have a cup of coffee and smash my training.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then eat. And it was kind of like, okay, well, how can I make that better spaced? How can I look at, okay, it's 1 o'clock. I'm going to be training at 3:30. I need to take something to work so that I need to prepare something in the morning, to take something to work, to eat at 1:30 so that it's in my body by 3:30. And it's about that time either side of it to like every day. Like, you know, an hour's easy run, it still needs to be fueled.
Can't just think about the run itself, and can you? You've got to think about the whole process.
Yeah. And one of the interesting things that I learned working with Paul is like the difference between your glycogen stores and your energy stores, and how you fuel them. Like, they're two different things that you work side by side. So when people say, oh, well, I do a fasted run in the morning, it's probably not, because they probably had their tea, filled up their glycogen stores. And so they probably had plenty of energy to do a 45-minute run in the morning. That's not a fasted run.
And plus, it depends when you're doing it. I know we're getting into it, but you could be doing a fasted run at 5 a.m. It's different to doing a fasted run at 11 a.m. Isn't it? And energy availability. But do you think you nailed that side of things? Like, what do you think, if you're going to go back to the Bob, what could you think you could do the extra bits to squeeze more out of it? Or do you think it was down to conditions, or just...
My feet were the limiting factor this time. Like, I made 4 mistakes with my feet that were just stupidity. There's no other way of saying it. So by the time I hit Fairfield, which is
end of leg 2, so like 20 miles in, just over 20 miles in, like, my skin had gone on both heels. Was that from the descending hard?
Descending hard. So the biggest one was that she'll love that I get it in here, that the wife is always right. No, Jess has told me for like 3 years that I need to get the skin sorted on the bottom of my feet. That hard skin is going to come and bite my arse at some day.
I saw your feet afterwards, and we shared some text because I've had the same problem as well. Maybe it's happened to me 6-7 times in my career, and I know how it feels. It's horrendous, and I can just about finish a short race, but the fact that you carried on with those heels for the whole of the bob off, let's say for 2/3 of the bob from when it happened. I mean, Andy,
by the time
more respect for that than anything else.
Middle of leg 3, it literally felt like somebody had a hot poker in the bottom of each one of my heels, like for every descent. But that was my own fault. So basically, I didn't sort the skin out of my feet. I didn't use anti-friction pads that I normally do on my soles. I didn't use the powder that I normally use for my thing. I didn't wash my socks enough before I put them in, and I didn't wear my shoes in enough.
So is your wife into feet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it because just from a personal point of view, I always had that hard skin underneath my feet and everything. I always thought it's done me quite well because I've never suffered from blisters or anything, because of the hard skin and stuff. And I never get blisters.
I mean, I'm just going to put this in perspective for anybody who's not had this problem before, but we're talking about the whole of the heel.
Yeah, I know. I saw it.
Like, it is ridiculous. Yeah. Like the like literally the whole mass of the heel, isn't it? And we're talking like. It went
through all the layers. You can literally see.
So you've just got pure
heel.
flesh. It is probably one of the most horrific injuries I've ever had. And like I said, I've had it about 5 or 6 times. I saw your feet, and I instantly sympathised with you because I just don't know how you carried on for that long. So did that happen coming off Blencathra then? With Ben?
No, so I felt it first on Fairfield. So at first I thought there was just something in the bottom of my shoe. So I had some spare shoes. So I asked the guys to bring down support. So they had fresh shoes ready. Jumped in fresh shoes, set off, and I was like, you just tell yourself it's all going to be fine, right?
Yeah.
And then crack on.
The nature of those ones as well, they creep up on you, don't they? It's like a low kind of discomfort, and then a couple of hours later, that's it.
Yeah. It's probably worth us just, so I know we've talked nutrition, we've talked about some of the things that happened on leg 2 there, but just take us through leg 1. Apart from the blisters happening up at that point, was it relatively stress-free?
It was really stress-free, like really good crack. I got on really well with Gavin Dale, as I said. It's the first time I met Ben Rothery, but what a guy. Like,
lad, isn't he?
Absolutely, absolute legend. God, I hope he goes for a Bob Graham.
We'll talk about potential Bob Graham suitors at the end, because that was a question I've got for you actually. Who you think?
So we set off. It felt fairly, it was manageable. It was all right. Like it was hard and it was pushing the pace.
When I watched you shoot off from Moot Hall.
Yeah, you go off the pace. I mean, you went off with some intent, obviously. But did you feel like on that first climb? Because I always think as soon as I set off in a race, I know how it's going to go within the first few minutes, because you just get a feeling, don't you? But you said like everything fell into place mentally that week, and like physically, were you feeling like this could be a good day, like as you were climbing?
It all felt smooth. So I'd done that climb at pace. I knew what I had to do. And it wasn't a full out effort. It wasn't like
it's a manageable pace, had to be a sustainable pace,
top end of zone 2, but you couldn't be creeping too far into any form of building up too much lactate. You had to ride that line.
Did you jump on the poles on all the climbs as well, or did you run that one?
Yeah.
That's tactical, isn't it? Just to kind of preserve yourself for the rest of the
day. So it's just as soon as you're dropping into a hike,
get them out.
Get them out. To be fair, the lads just carried them out ready. Like, we weren't collapsing them or anything. It was just hand them off, hand them back.
So pretty stress-free, leg 1, got the changeover. So Gavin, you're smiling there.
Apart from, so I guess to Moot Hall, and I'm like, all right, get ready. And like the hand things for the leggy poles, I got them out, and I had 2 right hands, and I was like, and she just looks at us and said, well, just put it on your fucking left hand anyway, it doesn't matter. So I did, and I was like, and it sounds tiny, right? But the little hook thing that you that you click in,
the shark system,
it was pointing the wrong way.
Yeah.
So every time I was having to get my thumb and just help hook it on. And it was just it was an annoyance all day. It was just
but it's a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
magnified in a challenge like that. So it wasn't a perfect start.
It was just an annoyance.
But the running on that leg was
super smooth,
and you came down.
You've made it when you've got 2 pairs of leckies. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, what I do is I train with the heavier pair, and then I get my race pair out, which is the lighter ones, and I race with my light ones, and it feels. For people who've got money to burn on extra pairs of poles.
And did you come down Hallsfell Ridge?
Yeah.
You didn't fancy the parachute drop then?
I'm not convinced it's
Any quicker?
any quicker.
No.
Not for the extra damage.
No.
So
I suppose
it's,
that's what you've got to factor in as well, isn't it? At that point?
Yeah, especially like as soon as you get off that rocky top section on Holzfell, it's a fly down. So
I mean, you did fly down as well.
yeah, it was good crack.
And who took over from Gavin and Ben then on leg 2?
So we had Mark Lamb, Matty Atkinson. Oh shit! I knew I should have written them down. Steve Halsell, and then and
Harry
Hugh,
Holmes. Was Harry Holmes on 3?
Yeah, and
Hugh
Hugh Chatfield turned up.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so who's who with like, the team, and definitely.
Yeah.
It's a good crack on that leg then, because
Yeah.
there's obviously a few more of you.
yeah, a few more, and you're moving that little bit slower. You're starting
Yeah.
to kind of like.
I guess you're into your stride then, aren't you? And you're into the day. You've got.
Well,
to
it's
work
just
out.
happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like shit's happening now. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
No point worrying about it.
At that point, is it still like adrenaline, like just gunning for it, or how are you feeling on that leg?
Yeah, I was feeling really good actually. So yeah, ran through Threlkeld and Carol Morgan, who I got on really well, was just like, "Fuck, I can't barely." Like, absolutely giving her big licks. So we flew through there up Clough Head. I knew I was going to lose time on Clough Head.
Horrible climb, isn't it?
It's horrible
So
climbing,
steep.
just get it out the way. But then I really love leg 2. Like
Once you're up, you're running fast, aren't
it's
you?
the one I've supported
Yeah.
on the most. Like
Yeah.
my border collie used to know the line so well that I literally used to tell people just follow the dog, and the dog used to just do the nav for us. Like he used to just go off it. It was amazing. Like. So yes, I love.
Imagine if he just fucked off.
like my dog.
Killian!
When he's on a run, there's nothing else that dog is doing. Like dogs will come up and try play to him, and he's like, "Fuck off! I'm on
That's
a
all
run."
he's
Like,
doing.
He's dialed in.
Yeah, like-
I'm going for a record.
yeah. So I love leg 2. So once we were up there, as soon as we were off Great Dodd, like I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna run the shit out of this," and that's what I started doing. Like just started absolutely pedaling it, and then.
And the paces you with, what kind of instructions did you give them? Any instruction? Were they there just to give you the come on, or was it more? Were they saying or checking on should you be running this pace or what? Like because that's probably important as well, isn't it? Before you even
Yeah, there was a good point just after Rays, I think, and I heard one of them say to each other, "Fucking hell, he's shifting now," and I was like, "Yeah, like."
did that give you
I
more
like boost as
yeah.
well, but like, yeah,
It's
like,
probably like when you said to Jack, like, "Oh, we're 6 minutes up," and like that. Those little like psychological gains will probably fill you with confidence. won't
yeah. And as soon as you see like that, one of the things that I said to myself is because the record was like such a stretch goal. That one of the smaller things that I wanted to do was to try and give that caliber of runner a really hard run.
Yeah.
Because if I can make them sweat, then I'm moving well.
And they're just doing one leg. Yeah,
And they're
so
just
that's a
doing one
test.
leg. So
Yeah.
that's the goal. The goal was to make sure they all had a run out and
Yeah.
to work them as hard as I could.
Yeah, and you know, you've done
And,
a
and so when I see them sweating, I'm like, all right, okay. You know,
Brilliant.
they're slurping down drink. It's like, okay, we've got them working. This is good. And just use that top to top. The game hasn't changed. Like from the first Bob Graham, you can't worry about, I don't know, steeple
Yeah.
when you're on Clough Head. You
Yeah.
can only worry about Clough Head.
You're just chunking it out. You're
Yeah.
just doing that leg, that moment,
That,
you're just
that,
that
moment,
peak.
that peak.
And were you getting time stamps feedback at tops?
They all knew them, and when we were like halfway down leg 2, they were like, "You within your slip," because I said that I didn't want to lose more than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I think we got to about 6 or 7 quite quickly, like on the first 2 tops, and then we held it there, and they were like, "Right, you're
This is the
going well now."
Yeah.
I always remember because I always use this name drop, don't I? But like, the only way I can always kind of relate to it is I did leg 3 with Beth on her Bob Graham.
Did she use poles?
She did. Yeah.
Yeah.
She used poles.
So
and,
any other
and
argument should probably go out the window at that point, shouldn't it?
Yeah. And
Because
it's-
did anybody ask her? And suddenly Ben's like thinking, "Shit, I might not bring up poles anymore."
just don't think.
We're definitely going to bring Paul's over at the end because I'm interested to know your thoughts on it all as a thing anyway.
The thing is, when you see someone use poles in something like that, and Beth springs to mind because I was there visibly watching it, there's a big difference between someone using some poles aggressively and to get the most out of it in an attempt like that to anything else, I think. I just don't know why. Yeah, it's just part of...
It's the people you see using them in an ultra who've got them in front of them and just lifting them up and down.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why are you using poles in that situation? If you're holding yourself up on them, That's one thing.
Yeah,
Like, you're knackered, but they should be driving you forward.
Yeah.
And I think that if you can,
And it's a powerful thing. You can almost be in around. You can feel the power of it. And I've been at you've been at U10B races when the top guys are using them properly. It's a powerful thing.
I mean, they can be a hindrance if you're not using them properly.
Yeah.
You've got to have the technique. You've got to practice the technique as well.
It's
some people have to run to keep up with me walking.
Yeah.
If I've got pulls.
Definitely, yeah. When you see someone really going at it, and I remember because she was getting the times at every top kind of thing, and it's like. And I always wonder, is that adding to stress, or is that driving you on? And it helps when you're within minutes of or you're way ahead of it, kind of thing in her case. But yeah, I'm always interested. What do you want the information or not? Basically,
I knew.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I knew when I was on it, and I knew when it was slipping. Like you probably know, and you'll know yourself that you run enough.
Yeah, you know.
I can go out and
it's like when
I reckon I'd get within 5 seconds of a 5 minute K,
yeah, exactly,
a 4 minute K, a 6 minute K without a watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know your pacing, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah. And was, so when it does start to slip a bit, also because it was such a stretch goal, are you targeting other goals, or are you just still using that same strategy of trying to rinse the other lads kind of thing?
Yeah, pretty much. So give them all a run, run them as hard as I can all day.
So speaking of which, end of leg 2, obviously this is where you're starting to struggle with your feet. Did you do anything with the feet at that point? Did you change your shoes?
So yeah, swap shoes out. Yeah. Afterwards,
which did you use?
The
Mud Talon.
Trail Talon Speeds.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love them.
All the way through, just
all
different
the way
pairs.
through. Yeah, just a different pair. I've done so many miles in them.
And the ground was pretty hard and firm at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you probably didn't.
I probably could have got away with a pair of Trail Flies, to be fair, but I do love the Trail Talons.
Yeah,
so.
you got to go with what you feel best in. And who did you switch to then for leg 3, if you can remember most of the names? Sorry, I'm testing. I'm putting.
I know. I knew I should. I should have revised. Well, Harry was there.
Harry was there because I saw him the night before. He told me he was doing 3.
Tom Simpson from Ambleside, so he was on nav really. Yeah. And then
I mean, you'll have. I'm just taking the subject away from you, so you don't have to think about who was on with you. But you'll have done all the legs at some point. Well, you've obviously raced it, but what intimately did you know the route? I know you said Tom was nabbing there, but I know you're not having to think about it.
I know. I've done 2 solo and supported rounds, clockwise and anti-clockwise. And
was there any point where you were saying to Tom, actually, I think this little line here is better? Or
no.
Trust him.
To be honest, the line is fairly well set these days.
Yeah.
There's a little bit over to Sergeant Man where you had a choice.
It's minimal though, isn't it?
But other than that, as soon as you're onto because they're built into fell race lines as well.
Yeah.
Like, makes a difference on. I remember, like, again, I know leg 3 best from being out there, and that is where you could be a bit disorientated or lose a few minutes just checking where you are and stuff. But like you said, now when it's that well.
Yeah. Even the little cuts are fairly decent trods.
Yeah.
You've just got to know which trod to take.
But
as long as you know which trod, and especially like I wasn't going to go in shit weather.
Yeah.
So on a clear day, you can in daylight.
Yeah, you know where you're heading.
Just follow your nose.
Definitely. So how did that leg feel? What did you do when you got to sort of like around Scarfell?
So to be honest, it was probably it started to slip quite quickly at the start of that leg.
Yeah.
But I'm really good at moving over rock, so that stopped at Bowfell. Once we were on Bowfell and moving again, we were on schedule. And I love running the fells. Like it's just a beautiful thing when you're moving and pushing. Even with my feet, I was still able to move. Obviously, like otherwise I wouldn't have been able to finish in the time. So just being able to flow and move. Just good crack.
Did you climb up a section at Scarfell, or did you?
Broad stand. So we did broad stand and build up there.
Yeah.
Again.
With a rope.
No. In the dry, I find it fine. Like I've got the experience to do that fine in the dry. Like for me, it was worth it. Like any risk was worth it for the time.
Yeah.
I don't really recommend to anybody who comes to me to do a Bob Graham. I'll always say Lord Drake and Westwall, or take a rope.
Yeah.
But I had a rope there for my 24-hour, but again, I've done it a couple of times since, and it's in the dry. In the wet, it's a completely different thing.
Yeah. And I suppose for your 24-hour as well, you're out for longer, aren't you? Essentially, so you're gonna be tired and probably need...
guaranteed.
Yeah.
You're not gonna finish a 24-hour fill record in 17 hours.
No, exactly.
You don't wanna be cramping
you're out
there.
you're out for double the time, so you're gonna be a lot tired, and you're obviously gonna need that extra support just in case, aren't you?
Just in case.
Just in case. But at that point, then on leg 3. You saying that's when it started to slip away. How are you processing that kind of mentally? Are you still trying to stay positive? And obviously, at that point probably that maybe the record.
I knew the record had gone probably by Bowfell.
Yeah.
And I was comfortable with that. It was just.
Did you reset the aim to a different time or a different?
It was only ever about what can I do.
Yeah.
And it was either good enough for whatever, but as long as it was good enough for me. I've got this thing where I really like to ask myself the question of what's tomorrow's Andy going to think of the effort level you're putting in now.
I like that.
Because it doesn't matter whether I've achieved things or not. I go through the same process anyway. I think we were saying earlier about it's just signposts on a journey, and whether I've got the 24-hour fell record or I missed the Bob Graham, on the Monday I'm going, okay, what went well?
Yeah.
What went badly? Where's the room for improvement?
And also what's next, isn't it? It's
And
not like it's the be all and end all.
Exactly. I always say to my athletes, whatever happens at your race, what are you going to think on Monday? Are you going to think, I want to go running once I'm recovered?
Yeah.
Or are you going to think, I'm going to quit? And the answer is always, oh, well, I'm still going to run. It's the outcome's kind of meaningless then, really.
That short-term payoff of the DNF, I know it's not DNF in your case, but like you say, when you're talking about the people that you coach and stuff, it's that short-term relief and payoff of the DNF is usually far outweighed by the Monday regret, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. So it's just ramming that home a lot of the time, I think.
And just being comfortable with your decision.
Yeah.
And trying to think, okay, what's the future me going to make of this decision? Because if it's comfortable with it and you can go through it, then do it. I've DNF'd, you've DNF'd. We've all DNF'd races.
Yeah.
It's just about making sure you're comfortable with it. So in that moment in leg 3, I'm just like, okay, if you're truly pushing as hard as you can, you'll be proud.
That's all you can ask for,
what you
isn't
do.
it?
That's all I can do is push as hard as I can on the day with whatever I've got on the day. And so that's what I did. And just
what was that changeover? What was the changeovers like on leg 4 to go to leg 5, and what was leg 5 like? Because I know, obviously, maybe not on record time, but you're still running one of the fastest times ever. Was that still a brilliant experience, and was everyone still
Have you ever come across Ali Bevan?
Yeah.
I forgot he was on leg 5.
So I had Ali Bevan on leg 5, and apparently they could hear me coming down off grey knots because I'm crying out in pain because of my feet. I'm still fairly positive, but I am crying out in pain every step. And I reached the bottom, and he helped on John Kelly's grand round on his Ramsey. And I get into Honestly, he's like, oh, for fuck's sake, it's not going to be like John Kelly on his Ramsey, is it? I was like, I'm going to make a lot of noise when I'm descending, but other than that, I'm decent crack. And he's like, oh, thank fuck for that.
Brilliant. It always counted that way.
Oh, he's such a mint crack. He is really good.
Oh, I mean, at that point, your feet must have just been trashed, absolutely trashed.
Yeah,
I mean, just to going on Gary's point as well, how long were you staying in the aid stations for? Were you conscious of thinking, actually, I'm just going to be in and out just for
So the longest was on leg 2 at Dunmail, where I swapped shoes, where I was probably in for 60 seconds.
Wow. So quick,
I didn't stop at any of them.
Wow, just straight through.
Straight through.
Yeah. I suppose as well, you don't want to be stopping too much because you don't want to seize up, and also your feet are probably wrecking so much, you don't want to stop for them either, do you?
Jack didn't stop.
Yeah.
So any time that you lose stopping, you've got to make up running, and he was already running really fucking fast. So it's
thought processes, even if you're walking, then you're
that's
making
it.
time.
Like we were saying, sometimes in races, people can analyse, he sent so much in checkpoint. I can save a minute or two here because of the checkpoints, and like you said, he already knows Jack didn't stop, so it's like, I can't stop.
Exactly. And I always say to anybody doing a race or a Bob Graham and things, stop for as long as you need, but not longer than that.
Yeah.
If your plan is to eat or change your shoes or change your clothes,
Yeah.
then stop, do that thing, and then get moving.
Yeah.
Because
Sometimes it's like a fucking Sunday coffee morning in the church, isn't it? You go in and it's like...
Yeah.
That was my experience at Trans Gran Canaria, because obviously I was way further back than sometimes maybe I've experienced, yeah. And it's like, God, people are just in here forever. It's just... And I think, I don't know what it is, but...
And most of the challenges I've helped with, like people are having a cup of tea, they're having some food. So when you're talking about this at that level, that's what's moving the times along at the top, isn't it? You know, the fact that you're just running straight through essentially now, it's just a race, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rather than kind of, like I said, taking the shoes off, changing your feet your socks and your shoes every single checkpoint.
even the 24-hour, I think the longest I stopped was probably 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. And it's what I've said, even like, so I'm trying to persuade somebody to like go for my Steve Parr round record, because it'll go a lot lower, but I don't want to be like that loser who goes out and breaks his own record. But I love that route.
Are you just going to wait until somebody takes it?
Yeah. I know what I think it'll go to, and it's a
Yeah.
lot lower than what it is now, but I just want somebody to go and break it first.
Is it just going to go faster, I imagine, now?
Yeah, it's just got to go.
Yeah.
But they've got to, again, so that my point there was I didn't really stop there. I think I stopped for 5 minutes
Yeah.
at 2 of them, and
so
that was
on.
33 hours. So
And just going back to like the Bob challenge, and when you got leg 5, you come back onto the road then. I mean, was the road more painful with the feet than, or was it the descending? I suppose the descending's going to be worse, isn't it?
the descending was worse,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's nearly over then.
Yeah. Was it just adrenaline keeping you going at that point then, and the fact that you could almost touch the finish line? Did you change
I guess
your
the
shoes?
pressure was off.
Yeah.
I think the record was gone.
Yeah.
I was probably going to be faster than like Billy Bland's time, which was kind of like...
Yeah, but you're still going for that though, aren't you, as well? So I know you said
Yeah,
the
like,
record's
so you're
gone,
moving,
still-
but it's
yeah.
not... So it was
Yeah.
quite jovial and
Yeah.
quite good crack.
Was there a shoe change on the road, or did you just go straight?
Yeah.
Was there? Yeah. Because I know you
which,
mentioned that. Yeah.
which felt nice, to be
Yeah,
fair.
but it
Like, it
did.
was just
Bit
like...
more foam underfoot.
Yeah, exactly.
And probably help with the feet as well, I imagine.
Just,
A little
just,
bit.
Don't blame the shoes, mate, otherwise we'll get caught off. He's going
Sorry, just for people listening, I meant just having more foam underneath.
No, in all seriousness, no, like Innovate contractors, and they were like, "Look, we're worried about you talking about your feet," and I was like, "Don't be." I was like, "The shoes were perfect.
Yeah.
They are perfect. I've done so many miles in those shoes with 0 foot problems." That
If you're a runner,
That was not my
I think if you're a
problem.
runner, you
Yeah.
understand that that's not a shoe issue.
it was my fault
Yeah, yeah.
with decisions I made.
Yeah, I
and
know. Yeah.
Like I literally said to them, I was like, anybody you see comment about the shoes regarding my feet, literally send me their name, and I will get in touch and talk them through what I did wrong and why it isn't that. Like it just, I love those shoes, and I would stand by them. Yeah, they're great.
You wouldn't have been running and trying to run a Bob Graham
Yeah.
fastest time in them without being confident in a.
I'm fortunate that I'm not told like what to say that I like. Like I'm not, so I always boil it down to 3 things, because if you say you love everything, then you love nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love 3 things: the packs, the trail talons, and the performance hybrid jackets.
Yeah.
Best bits of kit on the market.
And you are a very honest person, Andy. I know you don't bullshit. So like, if you're saying that's what it is,
That's
I
what
get
it
it,
is.
Going back in your first Bob Graham, what did you have on your feet then?
The Mudclaw 300s,
Did you? So Mudclaw 300s, and what was it this time?
the trail talons.
Probably
speeds.
different conditions underfoot though, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
I
it was
suppose you've just
damper,
got to
it was
be
more-
more reactive. Like you said, you could probably have done that one in. Well, you did it in Trail Talons, didn't you? You could have done it in Trail Fly, maybe as well.
Yeah.
But you're not needing that aggressive grip of a Mudclaw, are you? Really?
No.
With it being quite dry at this time of year.
So 9 years of running, and what was the time difference? What was the first one versus?
1852
Which is still a bloody good time.
to
I thought I was going to
13.
say 23. So.
So on my first ever one, I had 3 goals. First one was 24 hours.
Yeah.
Second one was my schedule, which was 21 and a half, and the dream goal was to get it under 20.
Wow.
You said the dream goal was to get some free shoes out of it.
At this point as well, I'm just going to go through the times, because I did write them all down, so I got them perfect. So I just want to go through and just give you some kudos here, Andy, because it's a bloody amazing time. So Jack has got the record, 12:23.
It's really hard to find these times, isn't it? I
Yeah,
tried
it
to
is.
find the
I
top
had to
10
do
of times.
It took me half an hour this morning while I was having my breakfast. So Jack 12:23, which unbelievable. Killian 12:52, again unbelievable. Finlay just under the 13-hour mark, so 12:59.
He needs to do it again, doesn't he?
Yeah, he
Finlay
does. And then you're next, Andy, 13:35. I mean, wow, that's an incredible time. So it's an hour and 12 shy of the record, but that is close. George 13:44. So you bested George, who previously had the fastest time before you and Finlay for an Englishman or a UK athlete. Billy 13:53. That was the long-standing record. Jebby 14:30. I'm just pulling some names out now, and then Beth is the women's record holder at 14:34.
What's yours?
Yeah, well, which leg? I've done all the legs individually. I've got a really good leg 2 time. I've never.
Maybe
done
we should do
as a
it
whole.
together. We'll
Yeah,
just
maybe.
throw that one in again. We keep adding to the
Yeah,
list
we
of
do,
stuff
yeah.
we're going to try and that'll never happen.
We'll put that on
It would be a mint podcast, though, wouldn't it? Like
It
50,
would. Yeah.
15 minutes at the start, 15 minutes at Threlkeld, and you got to try and build in that extra
You're gonna
hour. So you
take
can run a 22
24
schedule,
hour.
a 22
quite
schedule, but then with a
Build them
podcast,
in, yeah.
that'll be
Yeah.
That's a
amazing.
good challenge. I like
It's
that.
not bad, actually,
That's a great
yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
So my question, Andy, because that is an amazing time, 13:35. How fast do you think you can go on that course? Do you think the record is doable, or do you think you can do a sub 13? What's
I think
the goal
sub 13 I can do. I think that's in my body. I think that Jack's record would take, as I said, like a special day, but just never say never, you know, like it's. And I didn't exactly have a perfect winter. I smashed my wrist in November. I only got running again in January. So it's kind of like.
How'd you smash your wrist?
Oh.
when the plug. You're breaking up.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. Thanks, Andy.
Shall I ask another question?
I had a little fall, and no, again though they were awesome. Like they sorted us out, and yeah, we got sorted. And,
I'll change the question quickly for you. If
I'll take
you
it.
don't,
it was a good one. Yeah. There's your advert.
if you don't break the record, Andy, who do you think could and potentially will break Jack's record?
As you said, I think Finlay could. I think that he showed that with his Tranters round. You know, he took Jack's Tranters round back. So, and he's just, he's an awesome athlete and a good guy. Like, I couldn't.
Yeah,
know,
he's one of the best, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean,
Have you got a want to get out and try it again?
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good. I was
think
hoping
that-
you were going to say yeah.
yeah,
Because, like you say, even if that record doesn't come out, I love watching people have a good crack at it and just run a fast time, and just see the day out around
and
it.
put it
and
out
stuff.
there. Just say this is what I'm going for.
And like you
Go
say,
for it.
you might go and do it, and someone on that leg will go. Maybe I'll go and have a go, and then someone on that, and that's how it progresses to a certain degree.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, Ben Rothery's of the world, Gavin Dale. You know, these guys are super fast,
Yeah.
and
I'd like to see John Alban have a go. I think John Alban's got it in his locker to push that record. I think for me, he'd be the name. Because I'd like to see a UK athlete take it, if I'm totally honest. But I think we all would, wouldn't we?
They'll get paid too
I
much
don't know,
to do
like,
actual races.
I have a slight difficulty though, because I'd much rather it came from within the community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, ideally, yeah. of
Like,
course,
I think
like
that-
a Jebby or
Has
somebody. you know.
Josh done it?
Josh has done it, but he's
Like when
not
he-
done
not
it
when
when
he's
he's like
been
in
at this
form. So
level.
Josh Wade could be a shout, couldn't he?
I'd love to see Josh have a
Yeah.
go. Like, again, just top guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And he's got them. Again, you know him. I don't know him, but he seems to have the mindset to go in, because you do need to have a mindset to go and really like smash yourself up on it to a certain degree, don't you? Like, I know Andy's probably downplaying it a little bit, but no doubt it hurt out there more than just the heels.
yeah, like it does. I think that for one thing that I don't worry about really is dealing with the pain side
Yeah.
of it. If my goal is right, then the pain just comes along as part of the ride. You know, I think if you go into these things thinking it's not going to hurt, you're just
It's-
deluding
yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got a slight difficulty. You know, you talked about Killian earlier, and that kind of like dropping in and then getting the support and then fucking off by saying, "Oh yeah, we love the community. It's amazing."
No.
Like it does drive me a bit mad. Like they say all the right words, but Do they mean it? Like,
It
are
was
they
just
ever
a
going to
show
come
of-
and support?
It was just a show of face, really, wasn't it? And to get the
Yeah. It had to be, didn't it?
and
You're right.
and it was in good faith to a certain degree, but it wasn't. Yeah, it is what it was. You've got to separate.
Whereas Jack like properly came over and
Spent
you
a lot
know
of time
he
and-
spent a lot of time and
Yeah.
he volunteered at fell races. He handed numbers out and like marshalled.
He's
and
living
he
in
did
the van
all
and stuff,
sorts.
isn't
and-
he?
I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And I'm not saying you never necessarily have to go to that level.
No, but it shows willing, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
I think if you've got the time to do it as well, you should always do that. And I hear what you're saying as well. Like, it'd be nice for somebody within the community to take it, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Let's be
it
honest.
would.
I mean, Findlay, I think, would probably be the one for everybody because you want to see him push the boundaries as well. Yourself, obviously, included in that as well, because I think you've got a chance. You've got a chance. Get the perfect day, like you said. You just never know, do you? So it's good that
Well,
you're going
what's
to go
the
back
harm?
and try.
I-
Too
you know,
right.
like-
I think your attitude and approach to this is just as inspiring as the result. You know, the fact that you put it all out there and went for it for me.
I also think,
full respect.
like, and I know we're we're three guys around the table, but the women's record can be pushed as well.
And that's that's got to be the hope, right?
Yeah.
And you know, we have some great athletes at Innovate, and one springs to my mind who I'd love to have a go at it, but I'm not gonna. I wouldn't dare suggest what she should do.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's like, you know, she's definitely got it in her.
Yeah, and that is an incredible record set by Beth as well, isn't it? It's just as impressive, I think, as Jack's. And my other question for you, we've got to bring it in. How impressive is Billy Bland's record? I know it stood for so long compared to Jack's, with the fact that, and you said it as well, without the shoes, without the technology, without the. I mean, he knows the land ridiculously well. We know that, but it is a highway now. And of course, without poles. What do you think?
Yeah, like, look, it was incredible. I think that there's definitely a line somewhere probably around about late 90s.
Yeah.
Where if you had a Bob Graham that was just actually probably a bit later, probably like 2010. If you had a Bob Graham before that, then you know you were running just a different thing. That was probably more of a fell running challenge. I'd actually probably say that it's almost now a trail challenge. It's quite an extreme trail challenge, but it is a bit more traily. And yeah, like, you know, what was it, 1985?
Yeah,
Something
4 or
like
5,
that.
I think it was. Yeah,
Yeah, like
so-
it's insane, like
It is.
absolutely incredible.
yeah. Do you
But he
think-
shouldn't get to dictate whether people use poles or that now.
No, that's true. And by the way, I'm just playing devil's advocate here as well. Like, I've nothing against people using poles, but do you think there should be 2 separate records? Just asking the question for these, not just particularly with the Bob Graham, but these type of challenges where you've had somebody set a record without and somebody set with, because we know.
What's
it
the
makes a
biggest
difference.
thing that separates fell running from trail running?
Probably that.
Poles. You think it's poles?
You don't see anybody using poles in fell running, do you?
What's the only rule in fell running that is actually different?
Well,
It's
if
not
you ask
poles.
Jebby, he'd say. If you ask Jebby, he'd say, "No,
It's
I know it's not. I
GPS.
know it's not. I'm only joking."
It's GPS.
Yeah, we're not allowed
GPS is
to
the
use that,
biggest
yeah.
game changer
But that-
in fell running, and that navigation is the biggest
Yeah.
difference between fell running and trail running. For me, if you want to make it more of a pure fell running challenge, they should never have let you use GPX files and GPS systems to navigate, because you know all these people who there's a few people who spring to my mind who I know they'll be complaining about me using poles. And I know it. Like, they'll be having a good old twist about, we shouldn't be using poles. But I know those guys on a Friday night when they're out supporting use GPS, and I'm like, well, that's not
absolutely.
fucking fell running. Like,
Yeah, no,
also,
absolutely.
like, although poles, I'm a big fan of poles, and I think they are used right an advantage, but he would have still ran a fucking fast time without poles. And others.
I just think that you're at least still using your body. You're using your body to propel yourself. You know, like nobody.
People. The whole point of it is you're trying to get everything out of your body to get an advantage over the last person, and like you say, it's.
And they're within the rules.
If you're a race, and there's lots of races obviously in Scotland where you can't use poles, then you obviously race without the poles. But if you're in the mountains, in the Alps or the Pyrenees, and the race allows poles, no one would be questioning you, should you use poles or not. It's not
So I got on really well with Paul Wilson, sent him a message. It was really simple. Are poles allowed on a Bob Graham? Yes.
Yeah.
By the way,
Job's a good
mate,
one.
this isn't me. I have nothing against poles, and I've nothing against you using poles.
I'm trying to get Ben to turn up at a fell race with poles.
It's not what you said. It's not what you said about 8 podcasts ago, though, is it? Because I listened to that one about eight weeks ago, and you're like, "Oh, I don't think there should probably be."
I do think there should be two separate records. I do think that, but I've nothing against people using poles to these challenges. I've nothing against that at all.
No.
And you're not the first person to use poles, by the way, are you? So all these people that we've talked about, you know, your Finleys, your George, Beth, I know they've used poles, but it is.
I don't know whether Finley did.
Or maybe not Finley. I don't know about Finley. Yeah, but I know Beth because I've seen pictures.
Yeah,
of it.
Beth and George did, I believe.
Yeah. But it is a big advantage. You know what I mean? I'm just putting it out there because these are the.
So, but where would you draw the line? Would you draw the line at carbon shoes?
I don't think carbon shoes have the same impact.
What about nutrition?
Fell running.
What about boomerang insoles?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I mean, we've talked about carbon.
But nutrition is a far bigger advantage over what Billy Bland was using. Like,
it's moved on a lot.
absolutely massive.
It's moved on massively.
Huge. It's transportation and that. So would you say that we need a separate record for people who only eat jam sandwiches and don't use gels?
I think there's so many things that have moved on now. I mean,
I'd finish higher up if we start introducing all these categories.
Like, you know, and where do you end up where, like, you know, one of my most annoying things is people aren't just proud of the time that they ran. They have to be the fastest left-handed English welder from Rotherham who happened to do the Bob Graham. Like, just be proud of your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing wrong with being a welder from Rotherham, by the way.
I think the fact that people have like now, if you're doing a sub 24, it should be respected as much as breaking the record. Like you already said it before, it's a huge achievement, and we shouldn't forget about those people. But a lot of things have changed, and sport is evolving, isn't it? But it's about, I suppose, not losing some of those records where there was it's a big difference, isn't it? I think the biggest advantage, and I know what you're saying about the nutrition and everything, I think the biggest advantage is the poles, and I think it's an advantage that is quite significant compared to all those other things as well. We've talked about shoes. I don't think carbon is enough of a change. I mean, there's rules in road running and track running with stack heights for shoes. I mean, it could just get stupid, couldn't it? There's got to be some limit somewhere on some certain things, but I think you're always going to have
But your poles are limited.
Yeah, I know, but
so the record will just balance out.
Yeah, but there's either using poles and there's not using poles, isn't there?
I think that, but for me, that's just.
If you're not using poles these days, you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage.
Oh yeah. If I was doing it today,
I think you're trying to argue that we should hold Billy Bland's record in perpetuity, and I think that it is held in perpetuity. Yeah. Anybody who knows,
absolutely.
knows,
Absolutely.
Just how amazing that was,
absolutely.
and is still to this day. And I think you can hold that opinion and still just go, "There's one record."
Yeah,
and it was broken. It wasn't because Jack didn't use them, but. And
what Ben's saying is maybe we should bring it down to 22 hours, otherwise otherwise you don't get the certificate.
No, I was just interested in your take on it. That's all.
Yeah. No,
it's out there. People are always going to have an opinion. Same like you said, GPS is another good one because you can't use that in fell races now. But yeah, I just thought it's a question you knew I was going to ask, and we've both got an opinion on it, but I don't take anything away from the fact that people choose to use it or not. Like, if you want to use poles, that's absolutely fine, but I just think that Billy Bland record, for me, like you've already said it should be sort of held.
Maybe we should bring back a actual Bob Graham record, and you've got to run it in hiking boots.
and
flannel shirt with boiled eggs and Guinness. And it's only that's the real record.
We should have a race series where we're not allowed super shoes, no carbon, but it's got the best athletes in the UK, road runners, and just have a season of no carbon.
The opposite of the enhanced.
Just to see if it is recalibrated, if it is shoes playing such a massive part, or would they still be running a lot faster? I'd love to know.
I would love to know, because the carbon on the roads, the shoes, is the same as the poles in trail running, isn't it? They're the two big advantages. I would love to know that. It'd be interesting.
In the elite marathon and half marathon world, I'd love to know how much doping's getting hidden behind shoes.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean that's a.
Oh, the shoes are amazing.
It's the whole marginal gains thing, isn't it? A lot of marginal gains hidden by big gains hidden by marginal gains.
A lot to unpick there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Anyway, back to you, mate. What's next?
What's next? I guess, yeah.
He's doing pole running workshops.
I'm going to go home and burn my Ben Mounty posters. Yeah, so I'm going out to Chamonix for that race in August, and then probably going to do like a big like personal project next
Is that
next
under
year.
wraps?
No, so we were out in Switzerland last year watching Swiss Peaks, and we were like, why is there not like a non-stop 200-mile race in Scotland that goes over the tops of the mountains? And because there's Cape
I can
Wrath,
tell you why.
there's Cape Wrath that goes through them. So we started looking at it because obviously we moved up there. So I'm probably going to do it as like a personal project first and see if the route goes.
Yeah.
So that's going to go from the bottom of Loch Lomond up to Loch Ness, but via basically anything lumpy in between. It's like 200. But it's like you go, but you know, like it's only the same stats as like
No, just with
your
excitement.
Swiss Peaks, you know,
because
like it's
I
like,
know there's always been races, almost like races bubbling under up in Scotland for like UTMB style and stuff, and it's just like logistics and not. It's
it
just
is
so many
like
barriers
so
to
we
it,
think
but-
we think logistically we've got it with like a fairly decent trunk road all the way up
Yeah.
to shift stuff around, which is, as you say,
Amazing,
like a
yeah.
major problem.
It's definitely doable, and it's dying out for someone to do something like that.
And it's just about getting the balance right with we've got to take the community with us, like
Yeah.
that's what we want for each place it goes through, and then combining that with, okay, as you say, getting the logistics in, making it exciting and a good experience for the runners. And Scotland's just savage.
Yeah.
So like making it achievable. So at the minute, like we're working on a kind of 200 miles, 200 hours, and you go, well, that's 1 mile an hour, and come up to Scotland,
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
of a
you
sudden,
see why
like
not,
1
yeah.
mile an
Yeah,
hour
yeah.
is like
Yeah.
it could
And
be that.
There's not the trails and the paths that we have here either, is it? It's wild and exposed, isn't it, in a lot of parts?
Yeah, but it'll be. The thing about Scotland is you look at a map, and where there is a path on the map, there won't be one, and where there isn't a path, there will be one, and it's about trying to find that route through.
Yeah.
That's exciting because you get to go and
Go play on it.
Yeah,
and, like,
exactly,
And
yeah.
so like we will do like a lot more kind of like coverage of that kind of challenge, because you know UTMB are very tight about what you're allowed to actually show, and
yeah.
they charge you 50 quid just for. I think I get charged for saying that, don't I? Like,
Oh, mate, honestly,
you know.
yeah, don't get me started on UTMB. Jesus, yeah. I know all about
So
that.
like for me, like I decided to put kind of like, because I feel very, very similar. And
As a top athlete, how do you feel? Because I class you as a top athlete, right? And I'm not a top athlete. And sometimes I see people's opinions on UTMB, but I also think unless you're like yourself, you want to pit yourself against the best athletes. I assume that's kind of why you want to go and do that race for the competition and that kind of thing. And where do you sit with? Because I know your views on other stuff as well. Where do you sit with it as a whole, going out to test yourself at UTMB? Do you feel completely comfortable with it?
So like it took some like moral questions of myself. Like as an organization, that top level organization, I'm not a big fan.
Yeah.
Like how they've treated other races is despicable, and people within those races is despicable, and way before Gary Robbins stuff, you know,
Yeah.
when they were suing Mount Fuji for
Yeah.
using like Ultra Trail or whatever the hell it
Yes.
was, and like you know, like they're not even really runners, like, you know, like so like there's a
But at
whole
the same
bunch of
time,
stuff.
there's also like the majority of that organising are great people as well. And
So
all
I was
that
going
kind
to
of
say,
side.
so like I went to UTS obviously to qualify, and like you still have that, the race organisers, the volunteers, they're all like still amazing, and they
Yeah.
do everything that they can to give you a great experience. So I was like fortunate, as you say, to be in a position where I could, okay, well, how do I get UTMB? By giving them as little money as I can. And so that's why I went to UTS. And then to go out there once, try give the best version of myself on the day, so that I can measure myself against, as you say, pretty much every top 100 miler now and into the future. It's the de facto 100 mile championship in it, ultimately.
Yeah.
And I think to defend Because sometimes, because I've got, yeah, and I'm sure you do, you have people that their dreams are still to run UTMB, yeah, right? So sometimes I feel like, sometimes there's bits that I don't like about UTMB, and I think that's the case for everyone. But also I've got this side where I have to think that I have to defend it a lot as well, because I've still got people that it's their absolute dream to do it. Me and Ben have seen people cross the finish line there thousands of times. You see how much it means to people. What I don't buy into is the whole black and white aspect of like UTMB is evil, everything else is
right.
Is
so
good.
so
I don't
one
know
of the
why
biggest
you can't.
things in the world at the minute is grey area, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's like, it's
I always
lost.
say, this is way oversimplifying it, right? But I always say, like, I don't like everything McDonald's do, but I'll sometimes have a cheeseburger.
If my car's running,
Yeah.
if my car's running out of petrol, I'll still go to a Shell.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
do you know what I
exactly.
mean? Like, it's throughout our whole lives we have to make these
Click
little
that,
decisions.
Ben. We need that bit.
But, you know, it's kind of it's true though, isn't it? Like, it doesn't matter. You don't have to like everything about
Yeah,
everything.
exactly. Yeah.
Like,
That's the kind of point I was trying to get across, because sometimes, and especially in social media, we can be I definitely can be guilty of making it look like it's black and white, and it's not, because there is a big shift either a tide against UTMB. But I just think sometimes it's nice for the top athletes to say why they want to go and do it, and
Yeah.
and
You know, like,
it's okay to go and do it as well.
It is,
you know,
yeah.
we went out to Gran Canaria and met
Yeah.
you guys out there, and they've got like their own series going on.
Yeah.
And like, that's amazing. But ultimately, if they get to that next step up in size, they're
Yeah.
going to have those problems to face with these
Yeah, that's
sponsors
true.
coming in.
And there's
Yeah,
already those problems. I know, and I know they face those problems, and it's like, how do they deal with it being successful and also ethical, and also it's difficult.
And people want more and more, don't they? So they're
Yeah.
like, oh, we love the bikes with the cameras and we want like live streaming of everything. It's like, well, that
Yeah.
isn't free, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you might need a Ford Transit to ship it.
and all of that stuff, isn't it? It's like, yeah, for me, it's all about small decisions that you can make. And I think that whether that is a shoe company, there's people within there making small decisions to try and make a difference. You'd hope people like your UTMB are trying to make a difference. Sometimes they're not, but how many people still use Amazon, and there's as many problems with Amazon
Yeah.
as there are things,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
you're
You
still
can
like,
find-
shit, I need it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Prime.
It's true. We all do it, don't we? I suppose you've just got to try and minimise your involvement if you can.
We probably haven't got long left, but I didn't want to stop the conversation without saying, have you got, because I know you're someone who put things on the line, have you got, what's your aspirations for UTMB?
So I think I can run a time of around 21 hours.
Yeah.
I think that's physically achievable for me.
Are you going to get out there much beforehand?
No.
No.
So I think that I'm not there to race names. I'll race the clock.
Yeah.
For all I know, the whole top end of the field won't blow up, and the times will go 1937, 1939, 1942, and they'll just be like, the top 20 will be taken up by times sub 20 hours. So I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, I want to finish top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll run 21 hours if I can. And statistically, that should put me around about 5th to 10th.
And you never know what happens in that race, because sometimes the top guys take themselves out, don't they? If they go too fast too early, we've
I
seen it
just
happen.
hope it's shit weather.
Yeah, exactly. It could be.
You know.
You never know what you're going
And
to
the old body fat comes comes a bit handy at the end, doesn't it? Take your skin and bones and get cold.
Brilliant.
Will you be using poles?
That was a
I don't know.
question.
Am I allowed?
Yeah, of course.
Is there a separate record?
No.
We should probably need a separate record for
I
that.
think we need a separate podcast for that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but we'll finish there, and just by saying massive thanks and a huge congratulations for Bob Graham for everything you've achieved so far. Excited to see what else you're going to achieve, because I think this is just the start, really, mate. I think there's a lot more to come from you, and excited to see what you do at UTMB. We'll see you there, because we'll be back in Chamonix.
Yeah.
and we'll get you on another podcast post UTMB to pick through it.
Definitely, yeah, we'll have to.
I'll have a bit of crack beforehand if you want.
Oh, too.
Yeah.
That would probably be more fun.
Yeah, I
in
think
the
so.
middle of the
I
chaos.
think so.
It's almost annoying that we got Andy on when he'd done something big like the Bob Graham, because I know like there's so much you could go into outside of that. So we'll definitely, hopefully, get you back on, mate.
As you say, I'm an open book, so if you ever want just like a random, shall we start some shit podcast?
I'm pretty sure we can do that, can't we?
That's the third time Johnny's been going like this, so we need to.
So without further ado, we'll see you next Tuesday. Andy, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch up soon.
Yeah, cheers
mate.
guys. Thank
Fantastic,
you.
mate. Yeah. Cheers, mate.
That was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure,
Really
yeah.
good. Really good.
Ben's piss clock must have.
My phone was buzzing in my pocket. I thought, shit, have we been talking for nearly 2 hours?
I knew the hour had gone a long time ago, but yeah. That was good, mate. Thanks for that.